If we were only conscious and aware of the thoughts that go through our mind every day, then and only then we would be able to pull ourselves into the present. For most of us, our thoughts are either regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. It's regrets and anxieties, and you're buffeted regrets, anxieties, and you've lost the moment completely. Life is happening now. When you do a past life regression, you recall photographs, like little, it doesn't come like a movie. It comes like a sudden impression, a sudden image, a sudden something like that. Not very clear, it's not very clear.
Bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces. And that's what memory is like. So if you think, what did you do on your birthday last year? You probably won't remember. What did you eat last week for breakfast? Maybe 1 day, 2 days you might remember. Something or the other. There's nothing significant that happened. But if I asked you, what were you doing when the planes hit the Twin Towers? I'm sure everyone can remember.
Yeah.
When something significant happens in your life, whether it's in this life or it's in all of your previous lives, it remains as an impression. Why? Because at that moment when that incident took place, you were very emotionally charged. So whatever thoughts that came got cemented with emotions and put into your subconscious. And this happens with all our past lives too. So you might have been a soldier in a life and you might not remember it because your act of killing was for the good of the country. But if in any of your lives you took a knife and you actually, with vengeance and anger, you murdered somebody or you saved your own life by killing somebody, the feelings that would have been generated would create impressions stored in your subtle body, pushed through lifetimes, and you might have a sort of fear or an uneasiness with knives. You never realize how your past is influencing your present until you see certain things that you are just scared of, don't want to be near, some types of movies that you can't watch. There are people that say, I can't see Holocaust movies. I can't see movies about slavery. This really depressed. Why? Because something must have happened in a past life that causes that uneasiness. It comes up and you don't know what. You don't know what, but there is that feeling. It suddenly opens up and says, no, this is not good. This is not good. You go for a boat ride and for some reason the boat tilts over and you fall into the water. You will never go to the ocean again. And every time you see a boat, you will remember how you went into the water. You will relive it, except you're taking a past incident and you're adding a little bit of salt and pepper and rosemary and thyme and, paprika and all that, making it a little more spicy and a little more interesting than it was. And the next time, even more. And the next time, even more. It becomes bigger than it actually is. Memories are never clear. Memories are just images. And sometimes they get super, how Guruji would always talk about the double exposed film. You know, when we used to have film, we used to sometimes take pictures 2 or 3 times over it, and you'd have 2, 3 pictures. The memories are like that. They're a little faded. They're not very accurate. You don't know exactly where you were. You don't remember exactly how you felt. But you borrowed one thing from that, saying that, oh, it made me terribly nervous. And you brought that into the moment, and now, whenever that memory comes, you're nervous. And why don't you remember good things? Because love and joy and peace are so beautiful, they don't cause impressions. They don't. It's only negative emotions that cause impressions. Because it is only when you have a negative feeling that your body chemistry changes. Your entire body chemistry changes. And that's why a single thought can convert into an impression. You can never remember what happened in the past correctly. Whenever I look back at my time in Mexico, I'm like, oh, it was just so fabulous. I had 2 maids and I ate quesadillas every day and I took vacations and I played tennis. But I don't remember all the fights I had. I don't remember all the illnesses my children had. And I know for a lot of the time when I was in Mexico, I was complaining. So we tend to clean up our past memories and make them even more beautiful than they were. Embellish them. Add nice spices to them. Certain memories. Oh, I had the most idyllic childhood. You've forgotten all the fights that you had and the time that they threw mud at you and threw you out of the summer house and let you get wet in the rain. You've forgotten all those things. Those are painful memories. So the mind does one of 2 things. When you have a tremendous trauma, a very difficult situation, you bury it. You don't give audience to it. But nothing that you do in your life doesn't have repercussions. It comes up, and every time it comes up, it is so offensive, you bury it again. And the more you want to bury it, the more it rises. This is the problem with severe trauma. When people go into a coma, it's severe trauma. They have no memory of it. It's just a period of time that nothing was recorded. But as human beings, a lot of us get into a victim mood. We want to complain. We want to be miserable, although there's nothing. If you actually get down to this moment, right now, the way everything is in this room, what do you want? Air is cool. You're sitting calmly, you're clothed, you've probably eaten. What more do you want? What more do you want? Yet if this were a social setting, we'd be complaining about Trump, we'll be complaining about the traffic, we'd be complaining about the social system, be complaining about our neighbors and about our car not working and about not getting a job, about working too much, working too little. Only because you're silent and listening to me, this is not coming up. Because in the moment, we are here, we are right here. Nothing happens. Nothing traumatic happens now, because when you get into the moment, you get rid of emotions, you get rid of feelings, you just stay present. Just your body sitting in this room. The minute you let yourself go, it comes back. It comes back. And that's why we meditate. We meditate because through your meditation, thoughts that plague you are going to come up. And I've been really observing my thoughts this last week. It's all about what I'm going to cook. And I'm happy. There are no scary thoughts coming up, anxious thoughts. It's all about my day's plan. And I say, oh, that's my planning time. I compartmentalize my thoughts. You realize things that bother you come up repeatedly through the day. It's not once, it's not twice. It'll come up several times in a day. And you'll be having these imaginary conversations with people. And then I'm going to tell her that, and then she's going to tell me this, and then I'm going to do that. And then suddenly you say, hey, come on. We don't need to think about this. Things that are troubling us in the future. Things that happened in the past. They're gone. Whatever happened 5 minutes ago is gone. Every minute you have to wipe the slate clean and start afresh. It doesn't matter if you were a drug addict, if you were a thief, if you were anything. This moment forward is what counts. Yes, you should look back. You should look back to learn. Any experience is an experience only if it teaches you something. But imagine if you drove continually looking back. Do you notice that the rear view mirror in your car is so tiny? But the windshield is huge. Imagine if you just looked around and drove. What would happen? There's a reason that we stay present and we look forward. Yeah, from now and again, when you want to switch lanes, you do a quick glance before you switch so that there's no trouble. And that applies to your life as well. It doesn't help anybody to go over the same stories again and again and again. And you didn't buy me a gift for my anniversary, and your mother didn't give me a sari on my wedding day, and again and again and again. People repeat the same stories to each other. They fight about the same things. Something that someone did in the past, so what? It's over. Whatever you did, it's over. And you need to forgive yourself and move forward. And you need to learn at every point to break your thought ladders. Because what else is it? It's just something that's going on in your head. It's nothing that's really happening. It's just you creating little stories, adding to what happened in your past, embellishing it, making it bigger than it is. It's nothing, it's a memory. What is a memory? It isn't even a photograph. You can't hold it, you can't put it into a box. You can't do anything with it. It's gone. A fresh start each day. Each day think of yourself wiping that slate clean. Today is the day. Today, what am I going to do? And when you do that, when you start ridding yourself of ghosts from your past and the demons of the future, you really begin to feel that happiness is your birthright. And no one can take it. It's a sense of, life is good. Life is good. I'm busy. I'm happy. I'm well fed. I'm healthy. Everything is just the way it's supposed to be.